Presenting the Smoke Up series finale. Welcome to the stage, Malachi Juarez. Okay, here I am. Here I am. Here I am. Oh, forgot my coat. Forgot to put on my coat. Look fancier this way. Oh, does the coat make it look worse? Coat greenish? It's whatever. Whatever. Okay. Welcome to the Smoke Up series finale. This will be a monologue, and I will be. Let's start this from the beginning. Welcome to the Smoke Up. My name is Malachi Juarez, and this is a show where I usually sit around with a friend and smoke weed. But I have no friends tonight. It is the end of the show, the end of the road, and we are wrapping it up. I meant to refocus my camera. Let me see if I could just there we go. That's a little better. Yeah, I didn't expect this to. I don't even know what that is. It's just going through the. Whatever. Okay. So, let's get this smoke started. How's everyone doing? How's the audience doing tonight? Sound off in the chat. That's what's up. That's what's up. Nobody in chat, but that's fine. How does that make sense? Just stand here and smoke weed for like 20 minutes. So basically the goal of the show is we're getting to the end of the year and then we're closing it out. I have my phone here. I have my phone here somewhere. Here it is. This is how I'm gonna sort of keep on track. Right, so a monologue. Honestly, last time I did this, it was a little easier because I had one person in the audience, but this time, I'm the one person in the audience. I'm just watching myself. So, let me pull up my document here. We got a big show for all you tonight. Real exciting stuff. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing I have on here is greet the audience. I feel like I already did that. So let's move into the best performing episode of the entire show. Now, none of the episodes did very good. But we started to get a lot more traction and success after I started doing guests. Something to keep in mind with any future projects, goals, you know. I'm going to often have guests on my new channel. I think it just helps people engage. I don't know, there's just something about it. A lot more engagement when you have guests. And so the best performing episode was a tie between the Ruben Uncut episode and the July Life Coach episode for 64 views. I don't think that's too bad. The next smallest one is the Bjorn Does Movie one, which is at 54, I believe. The rest are much lower than that. So yeah, did pretty good with those. I enjoyed my conversation with Ruben. If you're watching this and you don't know, I am releasing on my other channel from now on, and you'll be able to see all the same characters over there over time. We got Ruben already. I did a video with Ruben. So after you guys are done here, go and check that out. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy, much funnier than I am. I gotta learn to play it straight in those situations, but I don't. I try to make jokes, fall flat, but it's funny editing in my jokes and then Ruben's reactions because he's like, what? Like, you joking or are you being serious? You know, which is funny to me at least. The best performing segment of the entire show was reviewing Kill Tony Guy's comedy with Ruben Uncut. So, very popular video. Got 358 views at last look. That was earlier today. And I'm proud of it. I think it's pretty funny. I think it hits a nerve whenever you actually try to sort of use the same kind of like non-understanding vitriol towards these right-wingers who want to be as abusive to you as they can be, but expect you to have all the grace in the world. It's nice to just sit down and be like, fuck you guys. I'm just as intolerant as you. Towards you, though. That's a lot what that is. We make fun of his racial humor. And we make fun of him. My favorite line from that was Ruben calling him, saying he sounds like an evil Duncan Trussell. It was very funny. I suggest you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. If you're watching this and you haven't seen that yet, I don't even know what's happening. Look, you got some drinks too. Look at that. Oh, that's strong. The mango margarita. I'm not a big drinker. If you can't tell, I'm not a big drinker. And this isn't like the first one. The premiere of the season. No, I'm just gonna stand here, chill, mess around until New Year's. We're 6 minutes in, so I feel like kind of ahead of where we need to be right now. More about Tony Hinchcliffe. Trump shares on his Twitter page the Puerto Rico music video. Oh my God, I will vote. No. Yeah. Oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, and it was a banger. We went back over it, Ruben and I, for the newest video on my channel. And we got the same type of rage comments that we got on our first segment together. So I think there's a lot of just really angry conservative sore winners, just really mad at anybody trying to kind of cope with the situation as it worsens, you know? Because they just want us to concede, which is real funny because they would never concede, but we are the side that's more likely to concede. So the Democrats being the side. I don't identify as a Democrat personally. I identify as an independent. I am a progressive, and I try not to attach more labels than that. It's about individual policies, right? And when it comes to Republicans, all the individual policies suck ass. So that's why I don't like Republicans. And on top of that, their core is white, middle class to upper middle class racists, and there's no becoming white when these first of all, I wouldn't want to become white, but there's no becoming white when they become more powerful. They will eventually start to section people out, and even having a last name like Juarez doesn't qualify as white. I understand on like a black-white scale, I would be white. I don't get harassed by the police like a black person would, but I do get harassed by the police more than a white person would, at least when I was younger, because I didn't look my age, because I'm mixed race. And cops, especially white cops, they can't identify your age by your appearance when you're a mixed race or when you're black, and it becomes a big problem. I actually had this situation where my mother, who's sort of just a lifelong drug addict, criminal type, she robbed the Federal Wildlife Reserve type of people. I don't know what they're called, but they're like the game and wild, game, fish, and wildlife. It's like a fed. They're the feds, and she robbed an office, and so they eventually caught it back to us. But my mom wasn't present when the police showed up, and they saw me. I had a mustache. I was like 5'10", so they didn't believe me when I said I was 13, and they basically forced themselves into my home, did an illegal search, and I was a kid, so I don't know how my mom got off of that, but I'm sure it was something like that. And we were able to just move back to the old town. But the point being is that this guy was very aggressive about me not looking my age. And so even when you get these environments that are mostly white people, they still struggle with minorities, even if the minority would also be white in like a big city where you're black, where there are black people. Kind of off topic, but I'm trying to buy time. That's just sort of how it works. We have no comments in the chat. Nobody's watching. We're a quarter through the special though, so plugging along. Plugging along. Okay. Now, my favorite episode, or should I say episodes, are the Halloween episodes. If nobody has watched those, I suggest they do. They're fun. I perform quite well in them, and they took a lot of work to produce, actually. Probably the most effort I put in a single, 2 videos. I built all the mini games, and then for the second part, because it's like a Halloween 2-parter, for the second part, what'd I do? I disproved ghosts. So it's real good, real worth the watch. There's a video on my main channel of me talking about ghost files or dead files or something. They're all the same. And that video is derived from the podcast, where I produced it for the podcast. So I produced all those mini games, and then I produced the video for the podcast, and it was just a lot of fun to do. The debunking was, I thought, especially poignant. Ghosts are pretty clearly at least the way we envision them in America. They're a modern invention by television. It's very bat, 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 bat. And then you could trace it back to the Fox sisters, who were just grifting. They were pretending, and then they admitted to pretending years later. But everybody they influenced, it didn't matter about them, America has a rich tradition of grifts. Just lying for money, tricking people for money. Let me put this down for a second. I got some coffee too. should get this. This is sort of my blunt ashtray. Put it in there. Where was I? Oh yeah, and the part one, I know I'm kind of going in reverse order here, but part one was really fun because we did a candy smasher trash. That was fun, and we did a the best Scooby-Doo theme song. That was fun too. And yeah, it's really unfortunate the direction the show took when it could have been a little better. But honestly, maybe that's all wrong. Maybe me looking at it like the changes to the show made it worse is wrong. I mean, it was more popular afterwards, got more feedback. I felt better, you know. My co-host was helping prepare episodes for like the first 10, 15 episodes and then stopped. When we get to the 9/11 episode, he checks out, you know. And that's sort of like the beginning of the end for our relationship and for the show. Because, and I'll get more into it later, but the show is like supposed to be me and Bradley's conversations. And it didn't really pan out that way because I personally don't think Bradley was really willing to have those conversations on camera. But we'll talk about that more in a second. My favorite segment from the show was the second part of the Alexi Treviso videos, but not because of the main content in the video, but because of how it starts. And I do just kind of want to play that real quick. So let me pull that up. One moment. See, I should have had this pre-pulled up, but what can you do? You know, one moment. I like this video because I think I'm funny. So, I'm just gonna start it from the beginning. Here, let me get over here. There we go, window. Okay. So this is my favorite part of the entire show. Here's some true crime action. That was good. It wasn't a good segue to you? Here's some true crime action.
You're cool with some music.
Yeah, I'll put music. It'll be like boom 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 boom. Well, do 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 boom 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 boom, like that, like
Something like that.
yeah.
Sounds pretty epic.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was it. I think that's real funny. I didn't even listen to it just then because I would have to get my headphones to do that. But I just think it's just, I think that's real funny, you know. Okay, let's move on. My favorite, I guess I could pad out the runtime a little bit by showing another clip. Let me I'll like get this. Let me just do a like an intro. Throughout the show, we talk about many celebrities, and while a lot of them aren't too interesting, I think we actually nailed a few of those stories. And one, that's a terrible intro. I can't see the comments. What if someone's commenting? No, nobody's commenting. So yeah, we talk about a lot of celebrities on the show. Some of the bits are funny and some aren't, but I found this part especially funny. Let me also look this up. Sorry. I found this part, and I think I'm just gonna play the whole segment. So I think this segment's pretty funny. No, it's just, yeah, it would be too long to play the whole thing, but let me just play a moment of it.
Actor Michael Rappaport.
So I thought this moment was also very funny. Here we go.
About
Actor Michael Rappaport was pelted with a snowball by an angry New Yorker just as he started a new Instagram rant on cancel culture after going on similar diatribes about shoplifting and crime in New York after he says someone brazenly shoplifting in front of him at an Upper East Side Rite Aid. Began a new rant on Thursday afternoon as he took aim at those calling out Whoopi Goldberg, who has been suspended from The View following claims she made about the Holocaust. It's unclear if the video Rappaport posted of the incident with the caption by a stranger and friend Bill.
Yeah, so Michael Rappaport's like a famous like pro-Zionist asshole. He said some terrible things since the genocide started.
Shut up! Shit!
Saying this was just real.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Real
You've been
nice.
talking all fucking week. You don't care what you have to say. Just stop talking.
You got me right in my
Wasn't even the
fucking
video I
head,
was looking
asshole.
for either.
Damn it.
You know, the show's kind of a mess, so. Yep. Had lots of good times and bad times. And the bad times were mostly the amount of work that took to get this show like edited at the very beginning. I had no idea what I was doing. I was recording the show off of 2 separate iPhones. 3 phones, but 2 iPhones. And I would upload the videos to the cloud and download them from the cloud onto my computer to put them in the software. And then I would go through and at first I was editing so much of the videos, and then over time, and I'm sure you can kind of tell, just gets a lot lazier. There wasn't a point in spending hours editing a show that I knew nobody was watching. And I knew that the algorithm was against us. You know, we were shadow banned from day one. You can't make a show as revolutionary as ours, where you can sit down with a bud and talk about aliens and shit. You just can't do that anymore. They cancel you. And what else do I have to say about that? I don't know. Here, let's keep going. We're almost halfway through the special. Let me close this. There we go. Yeah, just a little live show to close out the podcast, close out the year. So I don't really want to get to the next part of here yet. So I guess I'm just gonna talk for a little bit. I didn't really prepare enough. The amount of editing, like, skills that I developed to like cope with editing long format stuff, I feel like I definitely appreciate, because now I can do a project like that much quicker than I could before. And, I feel like I'm better at audio engineering and video stuff and the green screen, and feel like maybe I'm a little bit better at networking, talking to people, maybe not monologuing so much. It's a lot different when you have like an audience to bounce vibes off of. But everybody's busy on New Year's, except for me. What are other highlights of the show? Let me look through the show's YouTube channel. And see if there's anything that I want to play. The tier list with Emery. That was fun. I think I might play that because I have to pee. So we're going to play a part of that. The Star Wars movie tier list.
Okay.
Okay, so we got movie and shows tier list. So we got S to haven't seen.
Sweet.
With ads in the way, but that's okay. So
if you scroll down, I think.
Okay.
If you hit presentation mode. Scroll up a little bit. Yeah, presentation mode. Gets rid of the ads.
Oh, wow. See, this is why I used your website. You could walk me through it.
Yep.
Okay, so episode 4, the first Star Wars film.
It just has to go in S.
S tier.
Just purely based on the fact that I don't. It's not my favorite film, but based on the fact that without this film, nothing else happens. It's got to go in S.
Yeah, there would be no Star Wars without it. Okay, episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Well, we got a lot of tiers here, so I'll put it in C.
Ooh, mid.
I think it's fine. I think it's better than a lot of people think it is, but it doesn't mean it's good. I prefer a lot of other films over it, so.
I think it's my favorite one, but I'm nostalgia poisoned. That's those are the 3 I grew up on. Those are the prequels. Okay, Star Wars Rebels.
This is controversially the one that I have not seen yet.
Ooh, I had a feeling you hadn't seen Rebels yet.
Yes, I am.
So I didn't do a Jedi one because I knew if I put Kanan on there, you would have been like, "Who the fuck is that?"
I wanted to start the timeline, and I was like, I might as well at this point. I've got so deep into it, I'll just get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. It's a good watch. It's one of my favorite Star Wars things. Okay, Star Wars Resistance.
Oh, I haven't seen that either. That's after Rebels, I think, right?
Yeah, that's after the new movies, as far as I know.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
I've never seen it either.
I've heard that one's a lot, like, Rebels is said to be more childish than, like, Clone Wars, but then I think Resistance is even farther on the childish edge.
Yeah, that would make sense, but the animation looks so good. That's the thing that bums me out about it. Like, I'll probably watch it one day and really like it and kick myself in the ass for never watching it.
Waiting so long.
Which one is this? Is this episode? Which episode? Oh, Return of the Jedi. This is episode,
that's episode 6.
6, yeah.
I'll go A tier. I like that movie. I think it's tough for me to choose between 4 and 6 as my favorite in that trilogy. So I think A tier is a good place for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I think my Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, except I hate the beginning. The episode 3, Revenge.
Episode 3 has to go in S tier.
Okay, I was hoping you'd say that. That's something
That
we
is
agree on. Episode 3.
Such a good film.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
It's so good.
Rogue One.
Rogue One is very good. I've not seen it in a long time. I want to put that in A, I think. I think that will go in A.
Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars film.
I haven't seen it enough, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, I think every time I see it, I cry. It's like the only one that's ever made me feel like emotions like that.
I think now, too, with the Cassian Andor backstory,
right,
like seeing how much work it took just to get to that point.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo will go in B. No, C. Put it in C. Put it with Clone Wars. That movie's... I enjoyed the movie. I wish that they carried on the story a bit. I love seeing the crime syndicate and like the Darth Maul influence. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
I was disappointed by the droid B storyline. That bothers me so deeply I can't watch the movie. Because she wants freedom, and then she's made into a permanent slave that Han owns. Very strange ending.
Yeah.
Clone Wars the movie.
Oh, I don't even remember the difference between the. I don't.
They saved Jabba the Hutt's son. It's a little larva.
Put it in D.
Okay. I would fucking give that movie an F. Such a bad movie. Clone Wars the series.
That's really good. It's so inconsistent though.
Yeah. There are arcs where I'm just falling asleep.
I think it's gotta go B.
I think I agree with that if you average out the score.
Like the final season, S tier.
Yeah, absolutely. If they were separate things on here, I would definitely say C for that and then S for the last season.
There's just some there's some Jar Jar Binks episodes that just need to be scrubbed off the face of the earth. And I'm not even a Jar Jar Binks hater, but he is so much more annoying in cartoon form than I ever realized he could be.
Yeah, and my wife loves him. It's her favorite character. And
in the movies, he's great.
Any iteration of him, he gets on my nerves. But I don't think I would have been one of the people that hated him. I would have just been one of those people that are just like I just want to watch a different scene. I just want it to move on. And that's sort of how I watch the movies now. I appreciate him a little bit more, but Empire Strikes Back.
This one will go in B for me.
Yeah, that I think that one is it's S tier for the ending.
It is my least favorite of the original trilogy. But I have not really watched the original trilogy a whole lot recently. So, and as a kid, I always explain my Star Wars experience. As a kid, I really liked when the good guys won. So that explains why I like 4 and 6. And then now my favorite movie is Episode 3, and the good guys do not win.
No. Okay, so
let's
this
get back to the show. Let's get back to
7, right? Is Han Solo dies in 7, right?
Does he die in 7 or does he die in 8? Is it 7 he dies?
If he dies in 8, then this is 7. So I can't remember which one he dies in. Those movies all blend together for me.
7 is good. 7. I'd put 7 at C. Whatever 7 is, I'll put at C.
Let me zoom in and figure out which one's which. God damn it. Okay, this is The Force Awakens.
Or that's 7, yeah.
What was that? Okay. Here I am. Long time ago, I met Bradley. And by a long time ago, I mean about 15 years. I met Bradley in art class in 7th grade. At least that's the first time I saw him. I met him out on the playground. Approached him, at least. And Bradley and I are pretty similar. We're both incredibly quiet people, for the most part. Unless, like, we're around, safe people, comfortable people. And we talk a lot, you know. And no much more than with each other. We would talk all the time. Hours and hours on end. Smoking weed and talking. Not smoking weed and talking. Just sitting around and talking. And that's all we did for years. In fact, most of that relationship. The other thing we did when we weren't talking, 95% of the time we were talking, the other 5% of the time we were working on music together. And we both wanted to be rappers. And we had an idea for something that was more political than we were ready to handle, or that we even knew about. You know, it was like a political project. Just imagine like 12-year-olds trying to make Rage Against the Machine, you know, and it just, everything we had spent years developing was sort of null by the time we'd both reached political conclusions. And a problem was that we had both reached different political conclusions. Over time, we both went from being united in our conspiracy beliefs and being conspiracy theorists. When I was very young, I was introduced to conspiracy theories, and I introduced Bradley to a lot of conspiracies, but he also had his cousin. His cousin will come up a little bit later. Well, we would, where was I? We both developed our political ideals. And my ideas are like communitarian, is I guess a way to describe them. And they're based in kindness and empathy, and it's you know, people want to describe it as socialist, leftist, progressive. I think I prefer the term progressive, but just, you know, believing that like the everybody should be equalized. You know, there shouldn't be hierarchies, and there shouldn't be bosses. There shouldn't be anything like that, and the whole system needs to be redefined. And Bradley came to the same conclusion, but not one based in kindness and empathy, but in what I feel is based in individualism. And there were like libertarian leanings, you know. He described himself as like a what's the term? Anarcho-capitalist for a little bit, which is just a libertarian. He's registered libertarian. And so eventually it came to this point where we both had different political ideas about our projects. Well, it's just different political ideas in general. And it's kind of impossible to put that in the same music. So what we tried to kind of do is write and record a version of it that I felt was like not saying anything, like wasn't political, but was. Like, very thoughtless, almost, it's hard to describe, but it just wasn't, it wasn't what I had in mind, you know. I think it was closer to what Bradley had in mind, because Bradley doesn't feel the same way about his art as I do, you know. He's released some stuff that, you know, he even considers questionable at a certain point, but that's fine with him. And I don't really like the idea of, like, ever releasing anything I regret. I don't want to produce something that I regret. Like, I would rather never produce a song than produce a bad song. And that requires a lot of practice and a lot of trying again and again and again. And Bradley doesn't want to do that. Bradley didn't want to do that. And that caused some rifts in our relationship. Nothing we couldn't patch up. And we were working on that. But, as time went on, our relationships sort of started to divide us a little bit. A lot of it's a little too personal, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but, you know, we both had our own lives, and so we were not interacting a lot. And then there was a point in time where he cut me off in a way, you know, because of a jealous partner or something like that. And to me, in my opinion, he recontextualized it as me not, like, being there to support him enough. So we just stopped talking because of that. But it's like, it's complicated personal shit. And that at that point, when we started hanging out again, after like maybe like an 8-month hiatus, not seeing each other very much, I was like, well, let's do the podcast. We always talk about it in our conversations. Let's do the podcast. And so I showed up with all the equipment randomly one day. And we just I start recording it, basically like using the studio as the recording space, you know, wanting to develop it and become like good at producing audio visual media, and also recording our conversations, because, you know, I've grown a lot since that point of time, I believe, like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. But I still think that, like, there's value in some of the conversations we had. But over time, you know, as we did these conversations, it created like a more noticeable difference between us of our political differences, which wasn't so big of a deal, except Bradley has a lot of political opinions and beliefs that he doesn't want on a screen. And he may say, oh, I don't want to be like argued, like, I don't want you to make me look like a fool on a live, you know. That's what he basically said to me. And so he believes that, like, the 9/11 episode, the ghost episode, maybe a few other times, the 25th episode, which we'll get to, were all times where I was intentionally humiliating him, in his opinion. Now, what I was doing, in my opinion, was contesting our ideas. And there are things that I feel very strongly about, and some things that, like, as you get older, like, 9/11 is a very disturbing thing to believe in when you know more and more context. And I feel like in the 9/11 episode, I tried to show him as much context as I could to try to get him to, like, understand like what the reasonable position is there, you know, the empathetic position that cares about the people involved, not like a crazy story that you think like makes your life more interesting or makes you special to know. And that's all conspiracy theories are for the most part. They just make you feel special, and they're like a coping mechanism by fucking people who otherwise do not feel special enough. And I was trying to move away from that in my life, and I was trying to, and this might be hubris, you know, but I was trying to bring Bradley over and bring him to my side. And he wasn't having it. And he didn't like it. He didn't think it was appropriate for a show. Even though prior to the show, we would still disagree on stuff and argue. And we would have arguments constantly. But there was something about a third person seeing it that made it like I was exposing him or making like secrets known. And deep down, I don't know, maybe I was kind of trying to do that. But like now I've come of the belief that if you have some type of an opinion that you're scared to tell people because you think that they'll look at you as like callous or like cold-hearted, then reevaluate yourself. And there was a real strange insistence on Bradley's part towards the end about like bad people. And I almost felt like all of his arguments were formed in a way to keep anybody from being acknowledged as like harmful or like bad people. Like the term bad people didn't seem to like work for Bradley. He was like offended by the idea. And that's why I did the Kid Rock video. And that's why I did the Vanilla Ice thing. Because Bradley's just like, well, I'm not sure, man. We don't know anything about him. You know, you can't judge him by his politics or whatever. And then I'm like, well, let me look some shit up about him. And then it's like, at that point, you're being treated by people like you're you're bad by canceling people or attacking people for their past. It's like, what is worse, doing the thing that was bad that can potentially ruin your reputation, or outing someone for that? And it's like the way I treated others, he didn't like because he felt like it was coming to him. And of course, I treated Bradley with way more grace than I would ever treat like any normal conservative, or not necessarily conservative, but like modern Republicans. They're the shit they believe is fucked up. And if you can't analyze it critically, then what the fuck? But I wasn't treating Bradley like that. I was treating him like a friend, a longtime friend. And you know, that shit didn't work either. And in the 25th episode, we argue about politics. I intentionally started up as this is the politics episode, because a week prior, maybe a couple weeks prior, Bradley posts some stuff that was very condescending about voters, basically calling people who voted dumb, and they were playing into a trick. And what I had done was I had done a Halloween ghost debunking type episode about voting. And the whole thing was supposed to be me just going through and explaining why voting is important to Bradley. That was my whole goal from the get-go. And that's what I had prepared in the episode file. But I got maybe to the second point, and it becomes this really aggressive argument about oh, well, Biden is a pedophile. And even if, like, no matter what, if you vote for a pedophile, you're fucked up. Like, there's something fucked up about voting for a pedophile. Why the fuck would you vote for a pedophile? And, like, you know, Biden sniffing girls' hair in pictures, whatever, like, that's creepy. It's also some old people shit. I don't know what to say about that. He's never been charged for anything. Trump has. So it's a little weird to use that as, like, the, why would you vote for that guy? But that wasn't Bradley's argument. Bradley's argument was you shouldn't vote for anybody. You shouldn't vote. And it just doesn't fucking make any sense. And I was just trying to get through to him on something very basic like that. And it became very intense. And Bradley bringing up, like, Biden and, like, I think he said something about, like, Epstein or something, or maybe I even brought up Epstein, but I brought up something about his cousin, who is fucking weird, and I don't like, and we had some shit go down back in the day that really, like, affected our relationship, and my current wife and I and Bradley, we all worked together to basically get him out of that house. And, like, out of that house with his cousin, because that's who he was living with, was this fucking freak. And we all talked about, like, this fucked up shit that he did to, like, all the teenagers in town. He was, like, getting drunk and fucking, like, abusing them. And, like, we all talked about that, talked about how it was fucked up, and, like, we helped Bradley get out of there. We, like, my wife and him got into, like, a trailer together. They lived there for a while. He eventually moved back in with his parents, and my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, moved in with me. And before I knew it, Bradley's hanging out with this guy again. And I tried to keep it under the collar, tried to not let it bother me, but it really did bother me. And I just, every time he, like, kept calling Biden a pedophile and being like, oh, if you vote for this dude, it's fucked up, when, like, you're voting for people for policies, and, like, a lot of it was a vote against Trump. Like, it was just so fucking stupid. And I said, like, you're fucking homies with, like, the Epstein of our town. And basically that, like, was a very personal meltdown from that point. And to make that long story shorter, we're not friends anymore. And it happened on the podcast. And it's so wild. I stopped the show and I walked out of there, and I think that's the last time I'm ever going to talk to him again. Because of some very callous things he said about my wife and some of the abuse she suffered as a teenager. And I think that it really did cross the line, and I saw something that I wasn't willing to see with Bradley for a long time, in that he plays a lot of defense for people that can be treated poorly for the things they've done in the past, or like or be malaligned for the things that they've done, as, like, deserving of redemption because he forgave his cousin for the shit he did to all of us. And it just crossed a line for me, and it crossed a very personal line, and that's the deepest I'll probably ever get into it. But yeah, and I don't really want to ever talk to him again. I did the interviews to keep the show going, so I could feel to myself like I completed something that I set out to do and didn't just abandon it like I did with the music. And this is it. This is the end of that. And I think it was a lot of growth, even if it wasn't what I was expecting. Okay, let's move on. So I want to give a special thanks to July Life Coach. Billy was the first person who answered my DMs to come on the show. And he's the kindest person in the world. I couldn't ask for a better friend. Complex Mothra. He's awesome too. And I follow him on Twitter. And I'm hoping to have him on the main channel talking, some Juggalo shit. Maybe Dark Lotus. I don't know. Who knows? Wade the Wizard, who is awesome. I did a Kent Hovind debate review of his with him on his channel. And I'm going to re-upload it onto my main channel. Bjorn Does Movies, who is great to talk to. And I want to do more movies content with. Same with Emery48. Thank him so much. Awesome for responding. A great YouTuber. Ruben Uncut, who seems to, when we get together, it just creates conservative rage bait. And that is, I think, what we need right now. They really got us by rage baiting us and everything for so long. And maybe we do it back to them a little bit, I want to give a special thanks to my wife, Erica, who is beautiful and kind. My sister, Mikos, who was the producer for the premiere. And, was the audience, not so much the producer. But I hope to teach her how to produce. And to Bradley, couldn't have done it without him. So, to end the show and to go into the new year, I would like to sing a song. I am going to sing Auld Lang Syne. I am going to play instrumental backing to it. And we're going to cap it all off. Happy New Year's. Let me put on these headphones. Huh. Where's that phone? Also, I will be releasing the 25th episode after I cut out some stuff. And the show's done. Wrap it up, people. Okay. We still have a couple minutes to kill. Let me pee real quick. I'll pause the show and pee. I'll just wait it out. I'll wait it out. We're gonna sing this going into the new year. This is something I planned to do last year with Bradley, and he changed his work schedule the day of, so he actually wasn't off on the day that he's always off beforehand. Nasty work. Okay, here we go. And okay. Oh. Okay. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all son. And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I'll buy mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for auld lang syne. For auld lang syne, my dear, for auld lang syne. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for auld lang syne. Thank you. Oh, here. Thank you and Happy New Year's.